Today we are doing something super exciting to my JZX100 chaser behind me. In my hand here is an HKS intake. I'm really torn to do this because the car is so original, but I am a massive HKS fan and the car just needs to be woken up. That's what 1Js are for. After this we're doing an exhaust at some point down the line, but for now this was like 130 bucks. It's cheap, cheerful, it'll make the car sound a little bit like this. And who doesn't love that noise coming out of any form of turbo car? My name's Pat, you're watching 2PJZ. A very warm welcome if you're new and a welcome back if you're returning. Let's get stuck in. So as I said, my car is incredibly original. Everything in the engine bay that you see here is stock. The only thing that I have done is unplug the blue plug back here, which is such an essential thing that any JZX owner should do to their car. But we got to change that because the car does sound okay. I'll show you some clips of before and after, but right now it sounds a little bit like this. And I just want to wake it up a little bit. I know realistically putting an intake on the car isn't going to do anything absolutely massive for the performance of it because the car's stock, it's an auto, it's got no exhaust, etc. This is purely just for fun and enjoyment and noise. So I'm not expecting massive horsepower increases, not expecting to like be ripped back into my seat or anything. I know the realities of this. It's a cheap thing. As I said, it cost me only like 150 or less Australian dollars. So hopefully it should be a pretty straightforward install. I haven't really researched too much about what I need to do, but I imagine all I have to do is take off this pipe here, take out the air box, which is just a couple bolts, and then the intake just goes here, then we put the pipe back on and it's all done. I literally just finished putting some new rear brakes on the car. Well, I haven't even bed them in yet, and that's how fresh they look. Literally haven't even taken it for a big drive. So there's some Dixel extra cruise pads and Dixel rotors, and then the old stuff is down here. You can see how fried these old pads are. They just look yuck, and the rotors too, absolutely spent. So I just finished filming a video on that and I'm just in the mood today to get stuff done to the car. So go ahead and check that out. I would have posted that probably a couple of weeks ago now, if not a week ago. It depends how quickly I've moved. It is so busy in the lead up to Christmas. I have so much editing to do. Obviously stuff to the car. I'm driving this back to Adelaide where I grew up, where I'm from. I live in Melbourne now, in about 4 days. So I wanted to get all of this stuff done beforehand, and then we're driving back on the Great Ocean Road, which will be really cool with all of my mates, and they're going to stay in Melbourne for a bit, looking at hopefully hosting a car meet, which again I'll be filming. I'm really trying to hammer out the long form YouTube stuff. I do short form videos every day on our Instagram and my TikTok, and that's going really well. It's growing super well. I'm just really trying to pull people over to my long form stuff because the long form is a better chance to get to know me, to see my mishaps with cars and what I get up to, and just take you along for the ride. This is the start of what I honestly genuinely believe is a really exciting journey for me and for this channel, and I thank you if you're here already. And if you're watching this in the future because you enjoy what I do, then thank you. And if you're a subscriber, and if you're someone who hasn't subscribed yet, please take this opportunity to do so before we get into the install, because I work my absolute butt off to bring you really high quality, entertaining, fun, informative car content. Everything that I do, I want you to learn something from. So if you just enjoy chasers, great. If you want one and you want to do this mod, hopefully you learn something. Or if you're just into cars in general and you want to learn what an intake does, what it sounds like, then this is also a video for you too. So I hope you understand a little bit about why I'm doing this, about why I put so much effort into what I do every single day, and why I'm so passionate about it. I absolutely love this stuff, and I'm so keen to see what this sounds like and what it actually does for the car. So let's dive in. Before you touch anything, take off the negative battery terminal. This is for your safety because we're playing with the airbag sensor. You then take off the intake hose here that I'm pointing at before you move to the 3 different bolts on the actual airbox. This is just with your trusty 10mm if you haven't lost it. Once you undo those, chuck them to the side, then you remove plastic shroud cover that is on top of the radiator. This essentially directs air from your grill towards your intake. Take that off, you don't really have to, I did, and then you get to the hose at the back of the engine, which is again just a Phillips head screwdriver. Take that off, throw it to the side, and you'll feel pretty accomplished because it looks like you've taken half your engine out. Now that the airbox and all the hoses are completely out, it's time to figure out which ones we need to reinstall first. I think we put the big hose with the mass airflow sensor on first. I've just been translating all the instructions that are obviously Japanese in this HKS booklet, so I can throw that to the side because I have all the screenshots from Google Translate on my phone, which is awesome. Take the airflow meter off the intake hose and then remove the rubber because you don't actually need it, as the HKS kit comes with a new one. I then took out the airbag sensor to put the brackets down. So now we've carefully got the airbag sensor off to the side. I'm being very, very cautious of that. I just can't disconnect it. I can't figure out how, so I'm just gonna leave it there. We put the bracket here on this bolt, apparently according to the instructions, and then we'll put the full kit on. I won't explain every single step of that until after because it's just gonna be a little bit easier to actually run you through what I did after if you have this kit yourself, because I haven't been able to find many helpful videos on this, so I don't really know what I'm doing. So I'll figure it out. So according to what I was able to decipher on the instructions, you've got a few different options on here about your mounting situation. So this seems like you can use this one down here in the left for all JZX100s. This one up here is what I assume to be JZX100s with the airbag, because that's the airbag sensor there, so that's probably the one I'm going to go with. And then here is JZZ30s and other JZX100s, I think from 96 to 98. But that's a different setup, so I'm gonna try and mimic this one and then chuck it in and see if it works. I then fitted up the new brackets to actually hold the intake down in place. This is pretty straightforward. The instructions in the book, even if you don't translate it from Japanese, are very clear. It's like playing with Lego in a way. So just chuck that in the car and you're good to go. All right, so now that we've put the brackets in, it's time to actually make the intake itself up, so we can actually put it in the car. So you would notice on the airflow meter before we got rid of this rubber, you don't actually need that because you get one of these hose clamps, and then this I think goes like this way with the short edge over there. You get a hose clamp, so chuck that on because that's the way the plug should sit if the front of the car is where I am. So that's cool. Do the hose clips earlier. Bit of advice, because these hose clips come from HKS, absolutely massive. I don't know why they can't give you some smaller ones that would actually suit the size of the car a lot better, but we still love HKS. I almost put my t-shirt on, but I thought it was going to be a little bit too much. But I'm such an HKS fanboy. I'm so excited to have this in the car. I'm just so hungry. It's like 7:40. Been doing this for a couple hours now. I honestly thought this was going to be so much quicker. We love cars, don't we? Yes, we do. All right, so that goes like that. Maybe pop in like that. Might have to actually undo this hose clamp. Whoa, starting to look pretty sick. I don't know how I feel about all these chrome hose clamps though. I just feel like, I know it is a bit cheap, but I feel like it does, you know, just make it look a little bit less premium with all the hose clamps. But I suppose having black silicone joiners is definitely better than blue ones. That's something I really believe in. Oh, smells like Japan. Why must things be so hard sometimes? So we've got pretty much everything in the car. It's just a matter of like where these brackets actually align. So I haven't tightened them down yet because I just want to make sure they all line up well before we tighten them down. Then it's getting this pipe back on. So that will go back up here like that. And then the intake obviously will come and sit sort of in the car like that. So we're almost there. We're getting close. We're getting really, really close. I'm also really, really hungry, so I'm gonna run inside and have some dinner. I need to rest my back because it just feels cooked. And then we'll come back down and tackle the rest of it and hopefully finish it off tonight. Dinner has been consumed. So it's time to get back to it. I really want to get out for a test drive if I can before the sun completely goes down. So I think pretty much all we have to do now is get this pipe back on to there. Then it should just be tightening everything down and putting the intake in. But I'll have to double check my Google translated Japanese instructions. The Google translated Japanese instructions were indeed right, telling me that it was time to put the intake back on the car. I was getting pretty excited at this point because I was so close to being done. So again, it's just very simple. You just put everything back on in the reverse order that you took it off. Start tightening it down, but make sure you don't do it too tight because you'll need to play with it to actually make sure that everything fits. Once you chuck the airflow meter on, again, tighten the hose down a little bit, then you can start putting the HKS hose clamps on. And this is for me where it started to get really, really cool. Sometime down the line, I'd love to upgrade to a metal intake pipe just because I think it will sound a little bit better, but for now the plastic stuff works absolutely fine. Seeing the HKS mushroom in the car for the first time was super cool, but I just wanted to jimmy it up and make sure that it fit before taking it out and trying to tighten the brackets down a bit. I then decided that the brackets were not going to cut it because you couldn't actually fit them up properly. I don't know what it was with this intake, but the brackets just would not go. I then put the pod filter on and it was ready to roll. But just keep in mind, I did take the brackets off, and this is totally a personal choice. Then once you do that, it's time to put the upper intake hose on, tighten everything down, and you are pretty much ready to roll. Alrighty, after what feels like forever, because it pretty much was forever, finally ready to start the car up now. I decided just to get rid of the brackets because they weren't lining up properly with the side of the intake here. So I'll put those on at another time when I figure it out. But the hose is back on, MAF's connected. This is a little bit flimsy because there's a bracket that I'll, at another time, probably tomorrow maybe, drill into here. So this just sort of stays down there. But the hose is back on there where it's supposed to go. Now we can actually go and start the car. Actually, probably gotta put the battery back on. Now we can start the car. So I'll let it warm up for a sec and then we'll test out the intake. It all seems like it's working. Looks quite nice in there, I think. I'm going to mark that as a great success. I'm going to call it for a night tonight, and then you can come and join me tomorrow. I just want to get out in the daylight when you can actually see me in the car, and I'll wait to do the first test drive till we can actually get on video. Good morning, everybody. We are back with the Chaser. It is now time for the first test drive. I have been waiting to drive it to be able to record it on camera for you because the sound that it makes just by revving it, as you would have heard before, is just absolutely incredible. So take it for a drive. I'm so excited for this. Now I've let the car warm up for a little bit too, but one thing that I've noticed is that it does idle a little bit lower. When I was testing it out last night, that's something I noticed, but I don't know if I mentioned it on camera, and I did a bit of research and spoke to a couple of mates, and apparently it will fix itself over time. Toyotas apparently have some form of self-learning ECU. I'm still learning about these cars, to be honest. I obviously know a lot about the GTRs and other things, as you would have seen in my Japan trip videos. I just love GTRs so much. They are my number one. And I'm still learning about the Chaser side of things and the whole Toyota 1J side of things, which is why I bought this car, is to learn and go on the journey of it. So apparently that idle will fix itself. Let's get out on the road. I really hope you can hear it from inside the car. I've got no idea what it sounds like yet. This is so sick. Here we go. Let's give it something. Wow. Oh my god, I hope that comes up well on the camera. Oh, that sounds sick. That is honestly everything that I wanted it to be. And as I said at the start of the video, I was never doing this to have any major performance change. I just wanted the noise. Literally just wanted the noise. If I can't have an exhaust, I at least wanted to have an intake and just have the 1JZ sound like it should. That is awesome. Oh, that is so awesome. I'll put the windows down shortly. It's actually my first proper drive in the car now since doing the brakes as well, which you may have seen in the previous video if you watched that. I literally did the intake right after doing the brakes, and I was working on the car for like 8 hours straight. But so worth it. Have the brakes done. I'll have to go and bed them in after this. Have the intake done. That is so awesome. What a cool feeling. I don't even have anything like smart to say because I'm just smiling too much. This is why we mod our cars. This exact feeling is why we mod our cars. Oh, it's too good. Wow. Oh, it's so childish, but I love it. I'm around the corner from home now, so we'll head back home and take it inside and wrap up. But man, it makes all the stuffing around with the brackets and stuff worth it. One bit of advice that I'd have for you before I get home is don't bother installing the brackets. There's no point. Like, they don't fit properly unless I did it wrong. The brackets are mainly just there for legality, I guess, in Japan. It sounds so good. Like, so good. Ha! Test drive success. Probably a good place for me to wrap up. So if you haven't subscribed to the channel yet, please do. It's going to help me bring better, more interesting and entertaining content to you. Working really hard to bring better stuff to Instagram, YouTube, TikTok, all the channels. And there's a lot more that I've got in the works for this chase. Obviously we're going to manual swap it, we're going to put the lip kit on it. Probably we'll do a turbo at some point, an exhaust, coilovers, wheels. I just want to make it like a nice street car. That will be my daily driver for quite some time. So I start earning a little bit of money off of what I'm doing here before I can retire it to weekender duties and really go hard on making it a really nice weekender. So that's only going to happen if you subscribe. So please make sure you hit that button. Leave a comment about what you would like to see next. It's very likely, I think the next model will probably be the lip kit, but that is quite expensive to get the kit supplied and the paint. But it will completely change the look of the car because I'm sick of it looking like the bog stock Camry that it is. Thank you so much for watching. I hope this helped. I hope you learned something from it or just enjoyed hanging out with me while I did this. My name's Pat. You've been watching 2PJZ. Thank you so much again. Stay driven and we'll see you next time.